So get on those laptops, smartphone, and tablets and go to AppleSuperstore.com. Get all your textbooks and school supplies today. Superstore store 3122665. You're tuned in to your host, Draya, on yesterday's price, an exclusive conversation on all things value. It's time to eat good, feel good, and be good because God is good. Okay. It's the Draya Show. You're tuned in to your host, Draya, on yesterday's price, an exclusive conversation on all things value. It's time to eat good, feel good, and be good because God is good. Okay. We are interviewing in this week with our special guest and join the conversation. This conversation is sponsored by It's Nat's Restaurant. Call 352-7596 and place your order for some good vegan breakfast and lunch. What did it cost you? Well, we'll find out soon. Right, that's right. Nation, you're listening to Dub 103.7 FM, but you're listening exclusively to the Draya Show. Yesterday's price, we're having an explosive conversation on all things value. On the other side is our educator of the day because listen, we decided back to school edition. That's right. We're going to be talking about all things back to school and the cost of the lesson. You already know how we do it. And so I definitely want to introduce my special guest of the day. I want to just say, special guest, but our special guest is going to introduce herself and just let you guys know that she's is so excited to be in studio today. So Rhashanna, let everyone know who you are and which school and everything that you've been doing so far.
Good afternoon, Dub 103.7. Thank you so much. First and foremost, I wish to express sincere gratitude for having me on the show. My name is Rhashanna Curry. I am currently teaching at the Jack Haywood Junior High School, the home of the Shining Stars. And I have been an educator now for the past 10 years. This is something that I'm truly passionate about, and it is something that I have been able to learn and garner a wealth of information over the years pertaining to education best practices and how to best ascertain student success.
That is amazing. Oh my goodness. Well, I just want you guys to know that, I be my own technical producer sometimes. And I definitely want to let y'all know today that we are super excited. Now, I just got to make sure that, everyone that's watching anywhere, whether you're watching on Facebook, you can go on Dub 103.7 FM Facebook page and you can watch over there. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube, that's at Draya Bloom. So we're super excited over there. That's right. So you can definitely make sure that you guys are tuned in. And also, we're going to be bringing you everywhere. So you know that you are tuned in on all of the different platforms where we stream from live. Alrighty. Okay, so we are super excited. Y'all know how I gotta get around here, okay? Alrighty, so we are definitely going to get into this conversation. Y'all know we have an explosive conversation, and today's conversation is going to definitely be what you need to get ready for back in the classroom, okay? I definitely was super excited to have this special guest today because me and this particular guest, we go all the way back, okay? Listen, and I definitely want to shout out to our sponsor for the day, Miss Nat's Restaurant. Okay, make sure you guys are going down there and checking them out. That's right. You want to go down there and check them out for some good wings so we can get into this conversation. Okay. That's right. Because they got the best. Okay. 352-7596. And don't forget, you want to make sure call them today and right now. And also, I have a special announcement. That's right. Miss Nat is doing for the school that we both went to. Hugh W. Campbell Primary School. You got to stay together.
Yes.
Hugh W. Campbell Primary School. Grade 1 is going to get free breakfast. Okay. At what? On Monday. That's September 2nd as they return back to school. Only grade 1 of Hugh W. Campbell Primary School. And they have to be accompanied by their parent. Now, y'all don't go try switch up the churn, you know what I'm saying? And do some extra stuff, okay? But just make sure that you carry your grade 1, okay? Into Miss Nat on a Monday morning and get your breakfast. She opens from 7 o'clock a.m. 7 o'clock a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. So you definitely want to check her out. 352-7596. Don't say I ain't tell you because I did. Okay. Alrighty, and so we definitely want to get into today's show, and we don't want to keep you guys waiting because I know y'all ready to have this conversation with me. And y'all know I already asked my guest to introduce herself, but I definitely want to make sure that she introduces herself to those who are watching online. So y'all please bear with us because we definitely want to know who now. You know, I was teasing y'all and letting y'all know that we know each other from way back.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
But I definitely want everyone to know who is Rhashanna Curry. So just say it one more time.
That's no problem at all. I know
Okay.
that you are a one-man band today, but you're doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
First and foremost, let me once again express sincere gratitude for
Mhm.
having me on the show. It is indeed an honor.
Mhm.
My name is Rhashanna Curry. I am a teacher at Jack Haywood Junior High School and the Shining Stars. I have been teaching now for the past 10 years. So
Mhm.
on August 25th this year, I celebrated my 10-year anniversary.
Mhm.
And teaching is definitely at the very heart of what I do.
Yeah, I get it.
I'm truly passionate about it.
Mhm.
And I believe in teacher excellence, which ultimately affects student success.
Yes. Okay. Now I know that about Rhashanna. Okay. Let me tell you how I know that about Rhashanna. Okay, because one thing, and I think I get ahead of myself. I can pause. I'm gonna pause because one thing I do know about Rhashanna is that I remember watching you in primary school and I said this woman gonna be something great. But I didn't think that you would do education. I actually thought that you would do like news reporting.
Wow.
I thought that's
I
what
might
you
be able to do. I
Yeah, I might give you some lines and
Yes,
see if we can, see if we
yes.
can do something. Okay. Alrighty. So we definitely want to have that conversation. Alrighty. So I want to know, how did you become an educator?
Yeah, so I'm very intrigued by the fact that you said you didn't know because I have always wanted to be an educator.
Wow.
I remember from the onset of my childhood being
Mhm.
inspired by teachers
Mhm.
at Hugh Campbell,
Campbell.
who was the Hornets.
The
Shout out to all of our
Hornets.
amazing teachers
Yes.
who would have inspired me to
Mhm.
pursue this particular career track. And, you know, I can remember very vividly as a child, you know, taking chalk and writing up on my parents' walls and teaching my teddy bears. And I know that it might sound cliche, but it is definitely something that has been at the very essence of my childhood and it followed through as I encountered teachers throughout my school journey.
Wow.
Yes.
Now it's funny that you said that because you said all throughout your childhood. Now I do remember some things about you. Okay. There's some things that was very, very I remember saying, I can't do that. Like because you used to love watching the news. Love the news. I was like,
Definitely
I can't.
love debate.
I
Yeah, so-
hate watching the news. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
But as an educator in the public sector, what are some of the challenges you had to overcome both personally and professionally to get you to this point?
I think at the onset of my teaching career, one of
Mhm.
the big things that I had to learn to do, a challenge that I faced was trying to achieve or build Rome in a day.
Mhm.
I've learned that as an educator, you have to give yourself grace.
Mhm.
It is definitely a trial and error experience that
Mhm.
you come into the classroom environment, you meet a wealth of different students. You have to learn them, you have to build relationships with them. And then in that way, you're able to teach them and you're able to connect with them a bit more deeply. So that's definitely one of the challenges that I face, thinking that I would just be able to, change and touch and inspire lives in the blink of a finger. But it's definitely something that takes time, and it is definitely something that takes incremental growth to get there.
Wow, wow, wow. I think I want to shift off of my questionnaires for a second, because something that you said stood out to me. And I know that a lot of children are returning back to school. And I remember when I went into the first grade, that examination that qualified you to see which set you would go
Yes,
into.
placement.
I remember they said she has a very high IQ. Now, Miss Bethy McCartney was the principal at that time.
Certainly.
And one of the things was that I had a high IQ. What do you do for children who have high IQs, but because for me, early on I recognized that I was more creative because I loved art, but I still was able to function in the classroom because I was I'm a studier.
Yes,
like if I study something, you best believe I can retain the
Mhm,
information.
mhm.
But I felt like I was more a creative. How do you identify if a child actually should be in a classroom with a big group of people, or should they be like set aside, because there's something just more unique about this child, and it isn't that they're not dumb at all. They
Right,
can
yes.
function in
Mhm,
anything, but that they have so many
Might have
gifted
certain-
talents.
yes,
Yes.
certain areas. There are two ways that I would approach it. First and foremost, when we meet students at the start of the school year, we know that they're excited after a long summer break to come back. We do different assessments, interest inventories. We do reading assessments. There are math placement tests that they do, so that we're able to not only see where they are academically, but we want to see where they are socially. What are the things that they might be most interested in? And in doing that, we are able to differentiate instruction. As you indicated that you were more on the creative side, but you were still able to have a balance in terms of your academic performance.
Yes.
There are some students, some children, when they walk into your room, they are predominantly creative. And so as a teacher, you have to find ways how to tap into that creativity while still connecting it to your discipline, because at the end of the day, they still have to function in an academic realm, because school is for academics as well as other things like social development. But at the end of the day, we try our best to find ways in which we can connect those creative talents, those gifts that so many students possess, and we find ways to fine tune that in our lesson and bring that out while still reinforcing the concepts that they're learning.
Wow, this is good already. And I feel like I have to shift a little from my questionnaires, because I have a profound educator in the room. Rhashanna was definitely teacher of the year for what, 2019?
That was 2019 to 2021.
2021 at Jack Hayward Junior High School.
Correct.
And so I wasn't shocked at all. I knew because Rhashanna was always that. She was always that in being a student herself. So becoming a teacher, she is able to make great students, right?
Thank you very much.
I want to ask you a question, because right now in today's society, especially after the global pandemic and everyone having to go to virtual classrooms, and then after the pandemic was almost slightly over, they transitioned back into the classroom. Did you feel like during that time, this was the time for us to advance or develop the way that children would learn in the future? Was this a time to now take into consideration digital or what they call it, I forget what it is, ed tech?
Yes, ed tech, definitely. So I think that though the COVID-19 pandemic evidently was a very difficult period, a very frustrating time for educators who had to now navigate quote unquote new, because as you're suggesting, it wasn't new, it was that we needed to in many ways catch up to what was being done globally. And I think that just encouraged us to propel our focus and with the understanding that we live in a digital society. AI is something, artificial intelligence is something that is really becoming explosive, and we have to find ways in which we can tap into those mediums, bring them into our classrooms, because our students are engaged in those different technological areas. And so that has definitely been big.
Wow. Okay, well, we're gonna get back into the conversation, because this conversation is good today. Okay.
Yes.
I just want you guys we're at the meat of it now. We're at the meat of the conversation, whereby you answer some of the questions. I just want to, because I feel like there are persons that are listening on the other end who are probably trying to figure out, okay, where does my child fit in? Because my child struggles in certain areas. They're not the smartest in the room, but my child, if I put my child in front of a computer, they know everything. They know exactly what to do. But when it comes to studying, they just don't get it. I don't know what to do. And so, especially going back to school, they're minimizing whether they watch TV, whether they can use their phones, because they ain't really watching TV. They watch
They're
on their phone,
yeah,
right?
and Fortnite,
and TikTok, right. And so, what is it that parent should do when it comes to the academic of their child? Should they continue to focus on putting their child in a traditional school? And then how do you look at homeschooling as well in the Bahamas, especially here?
So that is definitely a lot to unpack. So I'll start first and foremost with parents who might be concerned about their child's progression and their development. First and foremost, you as a parent know your child's talents, their gifts, their capabilities. And sometimes as a parent, you might have to make a decision that perhaps the mainstream traditional educational forum might not work best for your child. And so there are schools which cater to those specific needs that if you are in the position to do so, I would definitely encourage parents to do so. I also want to encourage parents to understand this. And I always tell my students, I do not expect, and it would be, kind of a fallacy to do so, all of my students to academically be at an A. But if it is that you are at a C and the C is your best, my students will always tell you, Ms. Curry will always tell me to give my best, which is the C. And so I think sometimes we do have a tendency to hunker down on academic performance, which is excellent. But as you constantly reiterate throughout this discussion, some students tap more into those tech box skills. And so we've been doing an excellent job too. The Ministry of Education and the school institution has been doing an excellent job in trying to bring those skills to the classroom. So now you have students who are engaged in things like family consumer science, those students who love to cook. We have music, we have excellent music teachers who give that. And so students tap into those different areas as well. And with regards to homeschooling, so long as you are within the parameters of the curriculum guides that the Ministry of Education produces and you are well suited to do so, I would say if your child functions better in that environment, as you indicated earlier, some students do struggle in large groups. And so even as teachers, we have to sort of, limit the group sizes and what's not. So you have to, as a parent, know your child and understand that you have to do what is best for your child to ensure that they are productive citizens in the future.
Wow. Y'all already know this is an amazing educator that I have in studio. You are what does MS stand for?
So I have a master's
in teacher leadership.
Degree in teacher leadership. And I also have a bachelor's of science in secondary education, and my focus is English language and literature, something that I've always loved.
Yes, you've always loved that.
No surprise there.
No. I am actually surprised that you haven't written a book as yet.
Wow, that's a tall order, but
because you love reading.
I do love reading books. I definitely do.
Okay, so the question right now is the where we were reading to get to is the topic of today. And so I want to know, everyone has a price to pay for whatever it is that they're doing in life. And I want to know, what did it cost? What did it cost you to learn the lesson? Because the children, it's costing them a lot.
Yes.
Whether they're not, passing the exams, or they are passing the exams and they have to study tirelessly, or the parents have to do just extra. Whether it's taking the extra classes, or putting them in extracurricular activities, or just finding the best school for them. It costs the child a lot, and it costs the parents a lot. But what did it cost you to learn the lesson?
Wow. I don't even know where to start with this question because there are so many different layers. I will say that the price of the lesson, I don't even know
if you want to go back to, getting your master's degree, because know the education degree, a lot of persons, every teacher, every educator that I've actually spoken to that graduated, from college,
yes,
they said that it was tough.
Yes, it was.
It was a tough experience.
It
It,
was a
pra-
tough
it paid
experience.
it paid them a lot, but it's priceless when they get the results from those kids. So what did it cost you?
And I was going to say that for
Mhm.
me, I wouldn't put a number value on it because
Mhm.
there are invaluable lessons that I've
Mhm.
learned
Mm-hmm.
from. I went to college in New
Mhm.
Providence
Mhm.
and attained my bachelor's degree.
Mm-hmm.
I've had to learn through sleepless nights,
Mm-hmm.
moving away from my family,
Mm-hmm.
having limited cash because as a college student, and if you're doing it out of pocket, it gets a little financially overwhelming.
Mhm.
I've had to endure a lot of bumps and hurdles. And at the end of that, I realized that I had to be resilient in order to understand that the impact that I want to leave through my teaching comes at a price, though I cannot put a number on it for some reason. I mean, even as you spoke about the master's degree and investing in myself as a teacher, I have put in a lot of money. I've paid for my degree out of pocket because it was something that I wanted to personally do. And so that was, in the 20,000s. And it's something that I don't regret doing because I think that it enabled me to be an even better person and a better teacher so that I can affect the lives of my students positively. And so it's been a lot of learning. As you indicated, it's priceless. And I also want to put a plug in here and say to teachers, because sometimes it does become overwhelming. Some days, like many days,
Talk to them.
you want to quit. You want to just, you know what? I'm going to resign. Thank you, MOE, for the wonderful experience, but I am done. But at the end of the day, teachers are invaluable.
Oh my goodness.
There's no price that I
Oh
can
my
put on the amount of sleepless nights,
Mm-hmm.
the extracurricular activities, the staying late to ensure that students who might not have every opportunity to be successful in life. And
goodness.
so I just want to shout out all of my colleagues
Go
throughout
ahead.
the length
Go
and
ahead.
breadth of the Bahamas.
Go
Shout
ahead.
out to you.
Mhm.
Even sometimes you might feel overwhelmed by the commentary, but people who are not directly in the system, they can't always see the idiosyncrasies and the challenges that we face. I want to say shout out to us because we are doing a phenomenal job. With lack of resources sometimes, with just so many different challenges. We meet students from various backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds, and you have to first and foremost meet that child where they are before any teaching can take place. And so that's so important. So the price is priceless. It costs a couple dollars. I cannot put an indefinite value on it because it's something that is invaluable. And even as a teacher having 10 years of experience, I'm still learning.
My goodness.
I'm still learning and I'm still trying every day to be a better person, a better teacher, so that my students can be their best selves.
I would ask you a question when it comes to, being a teacher and, seeing your colleagues and a lot of the colleagues that struggle. One of the things that I noticed is that, and I don't want to turn it into a politics show because it isn't, but that teachers are underpaid. And for everyone, when it comes to your career, your profession, especially when you've used so many nights and days studying this thing to help other people. It's not a selfish career. It's not a selfish profession, and it produces the successful people in life. It produces the doctors. It produces, the radio personalities.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? It produces the media, the broadcasting. It produces the nurses and the lawyers and all those groups of people, the police officers and all of that. That's what teachers do. When you look at salary, and I'm not just talking about in the Bahamas, all around the world, because I worked in an organization where you can see teacher salary and more broadly, other places in the world. I don't want to call it certain places, but they get like 32,000 a year. And I probably, if Bahamian teachers were getting that, they probably would feel, good about that. I don't know how much they make, but I'm just saying that was like the minimum. And I looked at truck drivers making like 75,000. What do you think should be? I don't want you to call a number, but what do you think should be implemented when it comes to, teachers getting an increase or, more benefits or something implemented for the value the teachers bring to, the lives of not just children, but people that grow up and become professionals?
Definitely. Like I said, again, I can't put a dollar amount because a lot of teachers come out of pocket
Mm-hmm.
for things like classroom decorations.
Mhm.
While I will commend the Minister of Education, who has been doing a good job in terms of giving us incentives for classroom decorations,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of it still has to come out of pocket because there are teachers who want to ensure that they have manipulatives that target specific needs of their students.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that there needs to be a greater discussion. We need to table something, laws, policies that will ensure that teachers are paid and compensated adequately
Mm-hmm.
to have a livelihood, to take care of their families without feeling stretched every month. And I can say this, without fair contradiction.
Mm-hmm.
I am a teacher. I have no obligations. I'm not married. I don't have children. But I'm telling you, if I don't budget accordingly and not spend all my coins, because you want to enjoy the luxuries of life too. I mean, everybody deserves good things.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be very cognizant of how you're spending your money because money depletes. Payday was the other day, and what did payday really come? So you have a lot of teachers who are trying to manage with the little that we do make, and they're still pouring into the lives of students. There are some students who will come on Monday without supplies, and they will pour into them because they want to ensure that they're successful. As you indicated earlier, it is a selfless job. It is a vocation, something that calls you. And I'm thinking about it now. That might be why I'm here so long. And despite threatening to quit so many times, I still thug it out because it is a vocation. It's a calling. It's something that the value of it is priceless.
My goodness. So I want you to, because I know that your colleagues out there are listening. They want you to do something a little risky right now. I know that because I can feel it within my spirit.
Ooh.
And that is if you could quote a monthly dollar amount of increase that you think teachers should get, just the increase, not what the salary is. What do you think is a good increase monthly that would really, really do teachers well moving forward, especially because election coming up. So whoever coming in, right? Put it in.
I think $1 million would be comfortable. We do well with $1 million. Okay. The base. No, but I honestly, it is difficult to say.
But you got
when I think about it comfortably. So I'll give a monthly value. Teachers, please don't fight me if I, miss the mark. Considering what I know that I make at this current time, 10 years in, and just bear in mind the teachers who are novice, first year, second year, don't make the same. We make incremental growth. I would say comfortably
a month.
Monthly.
Added, increased.
To what I make now. I
considering your
extra $5,000 a month.
A little extra $5,000. Okay, teachers out there, colleagues of Rhashanna Curry, she just said it. And let me tell you something, we believe in God that an additional $5,000. I know there's some teachers who like take vacation. They saying 10,000, you missed. But listen, an extra 5,000. So for those persons who are, and this ain't no politics show, who are voting, who are, make sure, that that's something that you express that you would like to see, because teachers work extremely hard, especially coming back to school. People don't realize you guys have to go in before the kids come in to prepare for them. You have to leave your families a week in advance and prepare for your students that's coming in. And so I just love, I love everything about teachers. I feel like they should be the most paid in society.
And as you indicated earlier, there's a saying that we usually use: teaching is the profession that teaches all other professions.
Yeah.
So, give me my money.
Give me my money. Anyways, I want to get back into the conversation. And you share your life as a teacher all the time on social media. I want you to tell us, how long does it take for you to create content for Teaching with a Spin, which you're the founder of?
Yeah.
And what kind of impact do you feel that you make?
So yes, Teaching with a Spin exists to ensure that teachers are given the necessary support that they so rightfully deserve through instructional coaching and professional development, which I thoroughly enjoy doing. It takes a while to produce, first and foremost, record, film, take photos, especially when you're a one-man band.
Production.
Yes, an entire production it takes to just put out a quality product. So it can sometimes take hours to edit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like to think a bit more holistically about the caption that I put into,
Mm-hmm.
the post.
Mm-hmm.
And so it does take me a while.
Mhm.
Sometimes my students are like, Miss Carrie, what's happening? You didn't post on TikTok today. And I'm like, listen to me, I got things to do.
Mm.
So it does take a while, especially considering the fact that I have other obligations that I'm a part of.
Mhm.
And so content creation, when you want to put a good piece of work, varies. It
Mhm.
can take a few minutes to put a post up, to share something valuable, insightful. And it could also take several hours to clip the pieces together
Yeah.
and to ensure that the message that you're getting out there
Mhm.
is received by the persons whom you are trying to connect with.
Right. And what kind of impact do you feel like it makes?
Some days I post,
Mhm.
and to be honest, I sit back and I say, okay, it's just a post. Right? Until I have a teacher
Mhm.
or a student or a parent reach out to me and say to me, Miss Curry, thank you for sharing that, because it definitely made a difference in my life and it impacted me. I've had people who would buck me when I'm at the store and they're like, I haven't seen anything. What's going on? You did that little thing. So it's something that I do strive my best. I endeavor my best to make an impact through the work that I'm doing, not just to share content about students, but also to give teachers a thrust, encouragement through my Teacher Talk Tuesdays. I try my best to encourage teachers, give them a little, a booster throughout the week. And so I hope that the impact that I'm leaving through teaching with the spin is able to ignite passion in other teachers, as well as inspire students, teachers, parents, all education stakeholders who are invested in education.
My goodness, this is so good. Listen, we're having an explosive conversation on all things value. This is the cost of the lesson on yesterday's prize with my special guest of today. That's right, Rhashanna Curry, who's an educator. She's been an educator for over 10 years.
When you say it out loud.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Oh my goodness. Listen. And people be trying to figure out how old are you? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
My students too.
10
with this
years.
obsession with my age.
But definitely I'm just excited about everything that we've already talked about.
Yes,
It was so good.
I'm
was
so happy that you
valuable.
invited me. I'm grateful to be here.
But I just want to ask you another question.
Yes.
And like I said, I think I was tapping into it a little bit earlier, and I had to be like, come back.
Don't worry, the excitement is
yes.
infectious.
One of the things I always remembered about you was your passion for reading and watching the news.
Yes.
And so how important is reading as an educator to your life?
So reading is immensely important to me. I something that I encourage my students to do. They always ask me, Miss Carrie, how did you get your vocabulary where it is? And I'm like, honestly, the only thing that I can remember or attribute to my enhanced vocabulary is reading. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. So it is something that definitely drives me. I try my best to read every day. Now, sometimes when school starts, you can't do that. I try my best to read a devotional every morning. But even beyond that, the investment my friend Sophia Smith, who is also an educator, we have recently started the Lit Page Turners Book Club because we want to ensure that students are able to have access to literacy resources, and through that channel, we're able to, fuel their excitement because we are excited. We're both excited about reading and ensuring that students are able to read effectively and can, interpret the information that they're reading. But I love reading. It's something that has propelled me in my career and even outside of my career. It's not only is it informational and you learn a wealth of information from it, but it's also therapeutic. It's definitely therapeutic for me. So you can find me reading the book.
How many books do you read a year?
Now, I tried to read one a month, but I've fallen short this year. So my goal is one a month. Sometimes I fall short. So I try my best to get 12 in for the year. But if not, on average, it'll be about 8. And then some require me to go a little deeper. So I'm like, a nugget here, a nugget there. So it does take a little bit longer.
Oh my goodness. Listen. I am super excited about this conversation. Now, let me, okay. So tell us, what is your favorite book?
My favorite book would have to be, it's by Nathaniel Branden, called The 7 Pillars of Self-Esteem. And in the book, he discusses how a lot of our ideologies as adults stem from childhood experiences and our lived experiences. And I think that book was so profound because I actually was able to tie it into even some of the behaviors of my students. And from that, I was able to really rethink how I address situations when they arose or how I even interacted with them. So I definitely love the 7 pillars of self-esteem.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I was actually an avid reader. I was when I was younger.
Yes, right.
I still am, but I don't. I feel like I don't. We are young, but I feel like I haven't read books in
In a
when
while.
like not like how I used to. Like I mean, I feel like I used to do everything, and I was a little bit more disciplined when I was younger.
Yeah, adulthood. It's adulthood.
Is adults so adults are not as disciplined? I was more I feel like I feel like I was more
Disciplined as a
disciplined.
child. I think that we just have more responsibilities.
Mm.
So even though I would want to read for
Mhm.
3-4 hours, I have books to mark. And if I don't mark those books, my supervisor will ask me where are the grades because we need to interpret the data. So I think it's the fact that we have responsibilities and we have so many different things going on. So it limits you in what you can do with your, but I also believe in balance.
Okay.
So I will be reading my book every day for about 10 minutes.
I think what happened for me was I think I transitioned from reading to audio. To listening. So
you listen to audiobooks?
Audiobooks or podcast. I think more podcasts. I think more podcasts, and I love any podcast that is informational. It's probably either self-help or it has to do with, and I don't want to say wealth or success, but for some reason I always be trying to listen to podcasts that are about investments.
Definitely. That's the track I'm on too. Yes. So I'm a podcast girly as well.
And anything about the mind development.
Definitely. Because it influences how you are as a human being. And it also forces you to intentionally be a good person, to develop yourself, to ensure that you are leaving an impact, a legacy, and that you're investing in yourself. Yeah.
So would you encourage parents that if their children aren't necessarily good at reading, to listen to audiobooks or podcasts?
I think it's an excellent start. For me, I do encourage my parents and my students to engage with the physical book because you're seeing the information and research shows that when we see things, for me, I'm always writing down notes and nuggets and vocabulary that I'm learning from the book. And so it becomes ingrained in my memory. And it's not something where I have to figure, I learned this vocabulary. It just happens naturally. So there is a psychology behind actually engaging with the physical text.
Now I need you to say that again. What is this like? What does researchers say?
Yeah, research suggests that, I don't know if when you're studying, writing the information down, yes, you retain the information more, which is why we still allow our students to write notes, even though they want just AI and talk to text. Speech to text, and I'm like, what? You won't write today.
Yes.
Definitely there's a psychology behind.
Do y'all still make children write? I will not talk anymore in my classroom or in Mrs. Curry classroom.
Man, I wouldn't want to sit down there. 100, just joking.
100 times, 500 times.
I don't. I found that this is a different generation.
Oh my goodness.
And so while you think that those things work best, sometimes students are not at all moved by that. And so we found that psychology, again, taking things from them, okay, cool, might be a bit more,
or messing with their money.
Right.
So you'd be like, okay, you gotta give $1 if you use any type of language outside of the type of language that is taught in school.
They're not gonna give you their lunch money. So it is a psychology behind it. And like I said earlier, you definitely have to learn students. It's a different generation. We're dealing with a different caliber. Back in our day, we would just do what we have to do, but they are, and the reality is that they will challenge you sometimes. Some of them are dealing with so many different things. They're going to come into your space with that, but you have to find innovative ways to address those challenges.
Okay, awesome. Guys of Dove Nation and yesterday's prize listeners, we were having an explosive conversation on all things value with educator Rhashanna Curry. She is my Hornet sister. That's UW Campbell Primary School. And let me tell you something. If she was an amazing student, obviously she is an amazing teacher, educator, and wherever life will take Rhashanna in the future. I'm super excited to just always to know her and to see the way that she is elevating children's lives and teachers as well with teaching with a spin.
Yes,
Now,
thank you
before
so
we get
much.
into to letting everyone know where they can find you, I did put a challenge out there for you. And listen, you're about to do this right now.
Oh.
Rhashanna was always someone that was into the news. She would always. If she comes to school, she watched the news last night. She watched what. So
it was me.
yes, yes. So what I want you to do right now, this is a public forecast. I need you to just make sure you keep on scrolling up and down as I go on the other side, and we're gonna do this together, and then you're gonna let Dove Nation and the Yesterday's Price listeners know where they can find you outside of this show. So we're gonna do this. This is a challenge where you're reading the weather, right?
Oh, wow.
So let's just pretend like you're a news
Wish me luck.
weathercaster. So keep moving it.
So I'm
So-
moving to.
No, keep just doing
Okay.
it up and down until we get into it. Okay.
Okay, no problem.
Alrighty, so you're gonna start it off. So you're gonna go. Can you see it? Oh.
Yeah, I can see it. I'm reading the red.
Right, I know, right? So keep scrolling it so
Mhm.
you can. So it won't lock on you. Okay, you got it.
I think I have it.
Okay, or do you want to read it? Okay, so I'm gonna go to the other side,
Mhm.
and you're gonna read that, and then we're gonna close out the show for the day. And so you ready? So you can start. You can start, and I'll meet you on the other side.
Okay.
Mhm.
Severe
You gotta read it like you are
on the news.
Yeah.
Okay, what a challenge. All right.
Go ahead.
A severe weather watch will be in effect for the Northwest and Central Bahamas for the forecast period. Due to inclement weather that will impact these areas, the public is advised to keep updated of all severe weather issued from the Bahamas Department of Meteorology. A heat advisory is in effect for the Southeast Bahamas. A low to mid-level disturbance and ample moisture from a tropical wave will be vented by an upper-level trough meandering across the northern Bahamas. This will prolong an inclement and wet weather pattern across portions of the island chain through tonight. For the northwest and central Bahamas, there is a moderate to high risk of localized flooding in low-lying and flood-prone areas, with episodes of flash flooding possible during heavy and prolonged rainfall events, especially in those areas already inundated with water. Partly cloudy, our sky conditions are partly cloudy to cloudy and warm.
Is 30 to 50% chance of showers and thunderstorms, with winds east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots, but gusty at times. That's why temperatures are 81 degrees Fahrenheit, 27 degrees Celsius, 30 degrees Celsius, with a minimum at 75 degrees Fahrenheit to 77 degrees Fahrenheit, 24 degrees Celsius to 25 degrees Celsius. What a heat index, we don't know. But the Northwest Bahamas, we won't be getting into that today. That's including New Providence and just the very islands, Eleuthera and adjacent waters. Make sure that you guys are ready for sky conditions, cloudy to overcast and warm. And precipitation, we're not going to get into that, but there's no. That we are thankful for having Rhashanna Curry, the new weather person.
Thank you. I'm flattered.
You did an amazing job.
Thank you.
And yesterday's prize listeners, let Rhashanna Curry know that she did an amazing job with that one I just now.
Thank
That's
you.
right, you're oh my goodness. Wow. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today. You brought so much equity to the show. And I mean, I'm so grateful to have you here. But I want you to let the Dove Nation and Yesterday's Pride listeners know where they can find you outside of this conversation.
Thank you very much. Once again, I am so grateful to have been able to share in this space with you. You can find me on all of my social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at Teaching with the Spin, and you can keep up with all of my shenanigans. And I love to meet more awesome, tastical people.
Oh my goodness, that's right. Well, you guys know it is Draya Blooms, and this is the Draya Bloom Show. Yesterday's prize, an explosive conversation on all things value. And we were talking with educator Rhashanna Curry. That's right. And let me tell you something. She has a master's degree in education, and not only that, she is also she has a bachelor's in English and literature. So of course she would be an excellent weather person. Anyone hiring on there?
Thank you.
She's like, okay, listen, I got a lot of books tomorrow. But so back to the classroom. If you want to find Rhashanna, you can find her at Teaching with a Spin on Instagram, Rhashanna Curry on Facebook, and Don't forget, she's also on TikTok. That's right, TikTok. That's right, for all the teachers and the students out there that are returning back to school. So reach out to her, connect with her, and let her help your child have a successful school year. Well, it's time to go back to school. Don't forget, we're going to go back to school with this Snacks Restaurant downtown in the Salt Lake Plaza, also known as the Wind Building. QW, the Hornets, the Hornets. Whoop, whoop. That's right. They're going back to school. Only grade one only gets free breakfast on Monday, September 2nd. That's right. This now open from 7 o'clock a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. 352-7596. Don't forget it. The child must be accompanied with the parent. Okay. So keep it locked in right here. Don't touch that. It's the Draya Bloom Show. It's the Draya Bloom Show. You're tuned in to your host, Draya Blooms, on Here's Today's Price, an exclusive conversation on all things value. It's time to eat good, feel good, and be good because God is good. Okay. See who we are interviewing this week as our special guest and join the conversation. This conversation is sponsored by Miss Nat's Restaurant. Call 352-7596 and place your order for some good Bahamian breakfast and lunch. What did it cost you? Well, we'll find out soon.
Hey guys, I gotta go. We gotta go.